name is Caren Goodrich, and today I'm going to paint over this painting. Why would I paint over this painting, you might ask? There's nothing wrong with it. Well, true, there's nothing really wrong with it. I did it about 6 or 8 months ago. I kind of had a concept in mind, a night sky, an oversized moon. And, you know, it's okay, but it hung up on my gallery wall all summer, and it just wasn't getting it done for me. It wasn't popping off the wall. So one of my favorite things to do is to paint over old paintings. One of my least favorite things to do is to paint on a new canvas. But sometimes you have to, obviously. So today I'm going to show you my process for getting a abstract layer down in the first go round. The other thing I ask myself when I'm painting over a painting is, when I'm thinking about painting over a painting is this painting, if somebody asks me, what kind of art do you do? Is this the painting that I would want to show them if I could only show them one painting? And the answer in this case is no. So that kind of was the deciding factor on whether I would paint over this or not. I'm using a roller. It's good to use different tools. I'll get to the brushes pretty quick here. There's a lot of texture on this painting, which I love. That's another reason why painting over something that's already there, it has some texture down. And you can see it causes the paint to go down erratically, which I really like. I'm using a limited palette. It's my version of the primaries. I have a yellow, a red, and a blue, and in case this is more of a pink as opposed to a red, but it all works. These are the colors I like. I definitely recommend using colors that you like. And with a limited palette, it kind of keeps you reined in and not reaching for every color under the sun. Now I'll switch to some blue, which kind of looks like what's underneath, but that's okay for now. Just going to get some coverage down. This is a gallery wrap canvas, so I like to paint the sides. It's about 1.5 inches side. I like to keep going with that as I go along. Sometimes the bottom you have to get later because it's not really accessible sitting on this easel like this. So what I'm doing here in using these primaries, getting some coverage down, is it's just non-objective, intuitive play. I'm just playing around with the paint. I don't know what this is going to be, and that's the fun of it, is just being playful, making marks. This is how I start just about everything I do, is with these, just mark making, using colors, using some different brushes for each color so I don't get the colors too mixed up early on. There is some mixing going on. You can see that this is turned to purple here a little bit because it's mixing in with the blue, which is fine. I have a couple of different reds that I'm using. This one here is a little more of a magenta. And I also have a different blue. This is more of a turquoise. But they are all either red, blue, or yellow based. And you can mix the secondaries with what you have here, plus black and white. I don't usually mess with the black until later on. See, I'm going to hit this with the roller again, see if anything happens. This is just a kind of a what if scenario. What if I hit the roller, you ask yourself. Kind of mashes everything together. Not sure if I like it. What happens when you paint like this, you'll be going along and you think, oh wow, this is not great. But you just keep going because it doesn't matter at this point. I have a tendency to make these kind of marks too. So I'm going to remind myself to make some different kind of marks. Trying to break out of my mold, you know, maybe some curvy things. Because I have a tendency to go straight and angular. So I'm going to do some curvies. Another thing I did that helps me is I wrote an ebook. It's called Unstuck and Unleashed, 105 Painting Prompts to Kickstart Your Abstract Art. What it is, it's 20 pages of things I've learned about painting, about abstract in particular. And there's also 105 prompts you can use that will help you make some different shapes along the way. For example, one of the prompts is paint an arrow, which is not something I was thinking about doing. So you just go with your first instincts, which I thought, just grab the yellow, paint an arrow, and there you have a shape. It may disappear later, but it doesn't matter. You're just painting. Another prompt is paint a series of dots. Just go with the first thing that comes to mind. I grab the blue with some white in there. The more of these types of things you can do in the beginning on this first layer, the more interesting it'll become later. And again, it's unplanned. I'm going with the dots. I dipped in some pink, get some mixture going. Put one over there for fun. So when you're doing abstract, you just go. It's instinctive. You're playing in your paint. You're not worrying about what's happening. Anyway, that ebook, I have it as a download. If you're interested, there's a link in the description if you want to try this. This will really help you get going if you're stuck or if you haven't painted abstract before. It's a good little exercise that will get you going without worrying about what is this going to be. I don't know what this is going to be. I'm just painting, building. Another favorite thing of mine is a wooden stick. I like primitive petroglyph kind of art. I do that a lot. And scratching through wet paint is one of my favorite things to do with this stick. Using a variety of tools is good, even if it's bigger brushes and smaller brushes. But if you can get yourself some tools that you like to use, it will add some real variety to what you're doing. Like, for example, let's see. I have some bubble wrap here. I'm going to stamp it into the wet paint. And then put it over here. Got a little transfer there of bubbles. That's kind of cool. Again, these are marks that you can't make with a brush. And the more fun stuff you can do, the more interesting it is. So there's that. And I'll go one more time up here, because I can't stop. Once I start doing stuff, it's kind of hard to stop. I like that. So with this, I had the dry bubble wrap, was stamping right into the wet paint and then transferring it. The other thing you can do, and I have some cardboard here that I peeled off the outer layer. This is one of my favorite things to use for stamping. And so I'm going to put the paint right on it. See if I can get it to transfer here. Got a little bit. There's definitely some marks that you can't make with a brush. I'm going to try that again with something else. You know what would be cool is black. I haven't put any black on this thing yet. So now I've got some white down and some black. Let's see if anything will happen here. This is a canvas, so I'm holding the back so it goes on there. There's some black. Another thing that's good to do is just step back and say, what does it need? And the first thing you think of, that's what you do. What does it need? First thing I thought of, for whatever reason, was some more orange. So I'm mixing my pink with yellow and some white, and I'm going to stick that right in there. Again, I don't know why I thought that. I think I saw the orange underneath and wanted to add that. Now it's starting to blend, so you're getting a mixed color, which is good. Not everything needs to be bright. Now I'm sort of thinking of getting some darks in here, which I'm going to use black a bit. So even though I'm just playing and it's a non-objective painting, I still have these ideas where I go, oh, it needs some a dark value, because having a range of values from light to dark makes a painting way more interesting. Now, what if I put some white in there? White mixed with whatever was on the brush. Making shapes, random shapes. This is a fluorescent pink. Again, I'm staying with the loosely with the primaries. This is just a different pink. Now I had black on my brush mixed in with it. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Another thing you can do, credit card, old credit card, do some scraping. This will do something that the brush can never do. You can see there's some texture on this canvas, so it's making some nice marks. Look for where the wet paint is. Scrape some of it around. Let's see. I'm still liking this bubble wrap. I'm going to see if I can get some paint on the bubble wrap. Do another stamp. That's cool. I'm going to do some mark making with my stick. Let's see. Black mixed with whatever's already on my brush. Do some more cardboard stamping. Nice mark. I'm just going to do another one. Turn it slightly. It's Not the same angle. I'm sort of thinking about cave paintings now. I'm petroglyphs, cave paintings, primitive, making an animal shape that it may or may not be there later on, but I'm kind of liking that. If you ever want to draw primitive, just use a stick. That'll get you there. Try and remember to do some different shapes. Mix it up. So I decided to kind of calm this corner down. The whole thing's pretty busy, but that's okay. You want to start out busy, and then you could take away elements that don't suit you or don't match what you want to do. So I'm going to stop right here for session number 1. I'm going to let this dry and I'll take a look at it later and see what I want to do.